You know, you guys, it really seems that no matter when I either see or even get into a conversation myself regarding the Miami Dolphins, that no matter what the topic might be, there is always one word to perfectly describe their situation as a whole, and that is simply underrated. Because even though they have one of the best records in the entire NFL, they statistically speaking have the best wide receiver in the league as well, even though the stats probably aren't needed to back that up. And also, not to mention, you could argue they were one of the biggest, if not the biggest winner of the 2022 trade deadline. And yet, with all of this, it seems at least that the majority of the NFL world is not taking this team as seriously as we probably should. But even aside from all of the numbers, if you've been paying attention to this Dolphins team, it should be rather obvious to you how much they have continually improved as the weeks have gone on. But even when it seemed like this team was hitting on every stride possible, they might have just showed us that there is more to this team than what most people might have expected. But speaking of the Dolphins and even the NFL, if you know sports and you seem to pick the winners all the time, it's about time you get paid and take a win of your own with today's sponsor in MyBookie. MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests for all your sports betting needs, anytime, anywhere. And they're also willing to match your money up to $1,000, but we'll get to that in just a second. Bet on the NFL, the NBA, or even swing for the fences with MyBookie's brand new money bag. The MyBookie money bag is a one-of-a-kind opportunity to spin for crazy odds on props and futures. Just place your bet, spin the wheel, and get ready to score epic odds on the best teams, athletes, and events. Sign up today for free using the code DIGEST and claim a deposit match of any amount up to $1,000. That's right, sign up today and claim a deposit match of up to $1,000 with our promo code DIGEST. It's not just a sportsbook, it's a community. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Now to get back on topic with the Miami Dolphins. No matter what you thought about this team going into the 2022 season, whether you were a Dolphins fan or not, there was one major question surrounding this team more than really anything else, and that simply being, what was this new look offense actually going to be capable of? Because with the integration of new head coach Mike McDaniel, which on paper at least seemed like a terrific signing and was receiving a ton of high praise before the season even began, the acquisition of one of the most dangerous weapons in the game today in Tyreek Hill, and of course the biggest headline of them all, waiting for your third-year quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa to take the next step in proving he can be your franchise guy. And well, when you lay these three factors out on the table for the NFL world, they pretty much just summed it up for us in saying this was a do-or-die season for Tua. And believe me, while I know there was a small amount of people out there who still did believe that Tua could take that next step, I truly do not even think it's a stretch to say around 90% of people who watch NFL football were not in that category. And to be honest, even from what we've seen so far, it seems a majority of people are somehow still in that boat. And if your sole intake on Tua Tagovailoa film is strictly from social media, I can maybe see why you're still in this boat, considering half of it is pretty much just a free-for-all on every single mistake that Tua might make. It just seems like the extreme critiquing of Tua, at times at least, is just completely overlapping some of the ridiculous things that we've seen out of this Dolphins offense this year. And an example of this, the Dolphins have yet to lose a game this season where Tua Tagovailoa starts and finishes that said game. Tua's averages in itself are above and beyond what we saw out of the first 2 years of his career, and just the fact that Tua right now at this point has literally the highest quarterback rating out of anybody in the entire league should speak volumes to what people probably don't want you to see, and also to how much Tua's improvement has expanded the possibilities of the Miami Dolphins. And of course, while a ton of credit also needs to be given to both Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, which statistically speaking could end up being the most dominant 1-2 punch the NFL has ever seen in a single season, These three have essentially been the core of the effort, especially over the last couple weeks, to show that the Dolphins are finally capable of doing something that they haven't been able to do in what seems like forever. And this is not just the ability to withstand an offensive shootout, but it's the fact of winning an offensive shootout almost every time you are in one. Because in a season like we're currently witnessing this year, where scoring is down substantially compared to last year for whatever reason you might want to attribute this to, while having a sustainable defense seems to reign supreme right now, and don't get me wrong, we will definitely cover the Dolphins defense in a little bit, Miami just hasn't taken a small step forward in their passing attack. No, they have literally taken the biggest leap forward that they possibly could have all the way to the top of the league. And may I remind you that these team numbers are with Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson leading the team for 2.5 games. And I mean no disrespect to either of them, but it just adds more fuel to the fire. And even as the weeks have gone on this season, we have physically seen the confidence in Tua's game grow substantially. He just continues to improve and perfect his play within Mike McDaniel's new offense. And with what might even be most noticeable, he has been able to step up and deliver in almost every big moment that he has faced so far this season. And I mean, in terms of looking for traits in a potential franchise guy, you can't ask for much more than that. But if you did want to have a conversation about an area of this offense that might need some improvement, I think even all Dolphins fans would wholeheartedly agree with this, in that simply being the run game. Because while on the contrary to the pass attack, at least when you're looking at the numbers, it doesn't seem like your ground game is nearly as efficient. That definitely does not mean that we're not going to see eventual improvement in this regard, especially after the recent acquisition of Jeff Wilson Jr. from the San Francisco 49ers. Because after dealing away Chase Edmonds and later acquiring Jeff Wilson in a different trade, which in my opinion is still one of the more underappreciated deals from the deadline, while time will only tell, I think Jeff Wilson is going to pay much more dividends for the Miami offense than what most people might be expecting. Because if it didn't already seem perfect enough, considering Jeff Wilson had been under the coaching of Mike McDaniel for multiple seasons beforehand, his versatility will play directly into the strengths of both Tua Tagovailoa and this Dolphins offense as a whole. And the best part about this is that it really only took us one game to see how much of an impact he was going to be able to make on the field for this team. As in Miami's game against Chicago, rushing for 51 yards on almost 6 yards per attempt and even getting 3 receptions for 21 yards and a touchdown, he's able to equally support the ground and pound game alongside Raheem Mostert while also giving Tua another target through the air. And then with what might be considered the most underrated part of his game being that he is one of the best pass protectors out of running backs in the league, giving Tua more protection, which I know nobody is complaining about. But then, aside from the offense, as we mentioned we touched on previously, you also got the defense. Which, of course, when you're looking at both the run and pass prevention statistics, yeah, it doesn't necessarily look the best. But what you can at least say is that your team is making a conceited effort to fill some of the holes that are seen within your team right now. And of course, with saying this, I am referring to the blockbuster trade and acquisition of Bradley Chubb from the Denver Broncos. And sure, while in Bradley Chubb's Miami debut, we didn't really see much out of him considering he was limited on time and snaps, I think it'd be rather obvious to say he's going to make a monumental difference in due time on this side of the ball for a defense that has definitely shown promise at times so far this year and will hopefully be able to hold their own when it matters. I will also say though that I would rather take an offense outperforming a defense rather than the other way around 10 times out of 10, no questions asked. But regarding this team, the recent big moves they've made and how they somehow seem to continue to fly under the radar to most, as always, I guess we'll just have to wait and see if it works out in the long run. Nonetheless though, you guys, with everything that we've mentioned so far regarding the Miami Dolphins, I am also extremely curious to hear what you all have to think about their situation. So please be sure to let me know in the comments. Out of everything regarding the Dolphins offense, I mean Tua Tagovailoa, Jaylen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Mike McDaniel, literally out of everything, what has surprised you the most? And also, where do you think this team needs to improve the most prior to a very likely playoff appearance coming in the near future? But again though, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. Because again, as mentioned, brand new NFL videos every single week, so you don't want to miss it. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.